Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm excited to be here and do another reading for you guys. Today I'm going to ring my little bell here, so watch your ears. Now, today's reading is interesting. I rolled some dice here to go ahead and clarify who this reading is for. And whoever's here, we're going to be looking at what's on the horizon for you, what blockages might be in the way, and what octaves you may teeter off on along the way. What I mean by that is what small side mission does what's on the horizon set in motion for you that you have to pay attention to. And I'll be using Autonomic Tarot by 𝚙𝚊𝚗𝚗𝚒 and David Keenan. This is an amazing deck. It's only major arcana and the aces and tens out of the elemental minor arcana. I'll also be using Starseed Oracle by Rebecca Campbell and drinking some coffee, guys. So go ahead and get your coffee. Go ahead and get cozy. You guys know I like to listen to readings when I'm falling asleep. But you do you, all right? So the first thing that came through in this reading, before we begin though, take everything with a grain of salt. If a message is not for you, it's probably for your neighbor, so don't take what's not for you. But I saw and heard this song by 𝚘𝚘𝚊𝚗𝚗𝚘. I think that's how you say it. Let me look it up. It's basically a poem journey song. It's on her album Open Ancient Eyes, which is kind of crazy because what I heard was ancient ways, and then I heard the epilogue by 𝚘𝚘𝚊𝚗𝚗𝚘, and in that song she goes, open ancient eyes, eyes, eyes. So go ahead and check that song out if it's for you. It's super beautiful. It tells the story of awakening through waking up to your own darkness and through remembering ancient ways that we've been here all along, that we're only remembering our consciousness. So that came through, and then I was brought to the word 𝚙𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚗, which is something that I've studied in esotericism, but specifically 𝚙𝚘𝚘𝚗 teachings. If that's resonant for you, even if you don't know what it is, Rosicrucianism is a spiritual and cultural movement that originated in Europe in the 17th century. Okay, and its teachings are a combination of occultism, including Hermeticism, Jewish mysticism, and Christian Gnosticism. So what that leads me to believe that is coming through here is that this message is for people who know about the tree of life, or that's what's on the horizon for you, is understanding more kind of systems that tell the story of what's going on here on our planet. And the fact that I heard ancient ways, I feel like I'm speaking to a group of channels, because I got 333, then rolled 2 3s, and 3 is the number of communication. Okay, and I just looked at my computer and I saw that I have 3 messages, and I just looked and it's 11:11 a.m. So this is 100% synchronistic for somebody here, and you may just need to look deeper into different aspects. Now, when it comes to Hermeticism, let me just touch on the 3 branches it brings up here, which I'm just reading this from Google for you guys so I can give you the basic information. But Hermeticism is like the hermetic laws of the universe. Maybe it's time for you to study those. For instance, the law of polarity, which heavily breaks down the duality in which we live within. When it comes to Jewish mysticism, that's where we're talking about like Kabbalah, or like looking at the Kabbalistic, tree of life. This could be a huge open door for you that leads you into different aspects of yourself. And with Christian Gnosticism, this is really looking at the story of Jesus from a perspective that is a bit more humanizing to him and is less infantilizing than modern day Christianity, because modern day Christianity wouldn't be here without Christian Gnosticism, but Christian Gnosticism is really more based in the words of Jesus and the story of Jesus himself versus just the Bible. So with all that being said, guys, I feel like you guys are on some paths to awakening, to finding your own inner gems. Like, that is a big thing to come through. All right, and the next thing I heard was visionary, so I'm not even surprised. At the time of me filming this, it's well, you guys know it's 11:11, but I woke up this morning around 3:30 and wrote a bit in my book for a couple hours, and then fell back asleep and woke up around 10. So it is a bit of a morning for me here. But let's go ahead and look at what's on the horizon for you, because I feel as if you have been getting downloads about this or channels about it for even maybe some time now, where it's like, because I rolled 3 and 10. I rolled, not ruled. Which is funny because 3/10 is my birthday. But 3 and 10 together means communicating a long-term plan or getting downloads about a certain foundation. And I see that this is redefining the way you look at yourself in the mirror. The fact that the ancient ways coming through in this reading was prevalent could heavily be you letting go of false identities that are structured around systemic ways of thinking that you were raised in, or that you once firmly like contributed to. It could have been in a religious group, a certain philosophical group, with Sagittarius being rolled here on the dice. But there's a more nourishing belief system coming for you on the horizon, and it's affecting the way you love yourself, the way you communicate with yourself and others, the way you communicate your long-term plans with yourself and others, and it's affecting the way you read, the way you study. It's affecting the way you see yourself in the mirror. So the High Priestess. What was I saying, guys? So I'm picking up heavily on energy that is that. So the High Priestess in most decks, and just the original tarot, represents sacred knowledge, study, higher wisdom, intuition, clarity, and discernment. the high priestess represents a ranking of spiritual wisdom, that which you, once you know it, you cannot go back to who you were before. Okay, so that's what's on the horizon for you guys. Oh my gosh, I'm getting kind of excited because the high priestess in this deck talks all about knowing the power of your sexuality, meaning knowing the power of your creative life force that is within you. So whether you are masculine or feminine or non-binary, knowing that there is a actual sacred chemical that lives inside of you that creates worlds, that creates realities, and knowing how to steward that. So highly what's coming through right now is the practice of Kundalini yoga. You could have been going through a Kundalini awakening. You could be searching for that, or you could be a Kundalini yoga, a person who practices Kundalini yoga. I do Kundalini yoga once a year for 40 days, and it is one of my most reliable practices as someone who myself is heavy in this high priestess energy. So I see you guys making firm boundaries, because the card in this deck is 2 feet with very, very sharp high heels on. And they're sharp in the sense of that the heel is like a needle going onto some cobblestone. And this is significant of you rising to the height of your inner high priestess or high priest. This is significant in regards to you knowing and actually assuming the identity of your wisdom now, versus compartmentalizing that which you know outside of yourself. Meaning it's time to accept yourself as a teacher. It's time to accept yourself as a visionary. It's time to accept yourself as a channel, versus compartmentalizing that part of yourself over into a corner that you only bring out sometimes. Now, this could be very scary for some people, and we'll see when we get to the blockages if this is what you're going through. But it's scary when you actually move that energy into your first house, which is the house of identity, because what else is it going to do except repel everybody else who doesn't give a crap that you are that you know the things you know, or that you're on the journey that you're on. Let's get one more card here for what's on the horizon. Also, some of you could be writing physically a memoir, a book, poetry, songs, physical writing of some sort. It could just be your journals. But there's something about that leading you into the rooms that you're supposed to be in. It's something about you realizing the sharpness of your discernment. And I kind of hear laughing in my psychic field now, and I'm kind of picking up on, there's some people who, this could actually be from the past, or it could be going on right now, but there's some people who are laughing at you. There's people who are, because they couldn't begin to understand, right? And you know, some of us are more sensitive to bullies than others, depending on if you've actually healed from the bullying you experienced as a kid. Now, when I say healed, it's not like that experience, once it's healed, didn't happen. It's just that you've gained the appropriate information from the experience and integrated it throughout that past timeline. But into this new timeline, so they can merge. Sorry guys, I got a text message and it distracted me. But there's something about the fact that, you know, and it's even the fact the high priestess, that some people might even say, like, once you 3333, you know, I rolled all these threes. Once you're talking and communicating in a way that seems more intelligent or far out from the realms of conversation and thought of people that are even surrounding you, once you do that, people can be like, oh, you're on a high horse. Or they just say things that are inevitably really just leading to them finding their own wisdom, hopefully, through realizing that they just don't understand. But that's something we can only hope. But there's some people that will just, we didn't all incarnate here to become enlightened, right? Again, if you're here to study the Hermetic laws, you'd understand the laws of polarity, and then even the watching of the pendulum swing from one polarity to another, and knowing that your power is in your observation and not clinging on to the intense swing from one side to another. Okay, so there's also an aspect of this that you could have actually started dressing physically different to where it's actually honoring who you are on the inside. And this is in itself acting as a magnet to different people and different places. And when you're a magnet, you also are in a repelling energy towards that which is not there to create electricity through your connection. The Magician. The Magician, guys. Yeah. This is you guys. So the Magician is card number 1 and the High Priestess is card number 2. And so you guys are here looking at the horizon, knowing that like, you have to go through this glow up first, this High Priestess glow up, before what's on the horizon is here with you, because you can't show up into these rooms without the confidence of who you are. And so it might take a bit of a journey. You might actually go on a trip or a retreat or something, that maybe someone even just says something to you. Like, we have the 3 here so many times, so there's a lot that has to do with communication. Someone just says something to you that affirms who you are, and all of a sudden it just awakens you to the freedom that you have to dig your heels deeper into it. But the High Priestess coming first is like, you know what's ahead, and it requires your magician skills. I'm even seeing the importance of calling in the 4 directions and working with the elements as a means of grounding and opening a space. And there's a part of you I'm seeing in this card that is questioning if the shadow of what's coming is going to manifest first. And so you may be in a bit of not a standstill, but a pause because you know that what's coming brings shadow and light, but you are hoping the light comes first. The message is that it will all be intertwined within each other, so you don't have to have this deep expectation of, because what's coming through is because what you're coming out of, like we just talked about, is you're redefining yourself, and leaving behind people who quite literally could never understand you. So you might have a little bit of an expectation that you have to prove yourself to people in this next stage. And that's why you're supposed to wake up to yourself first, because we're not here to prove anything to anyone. We are here, though, to confirm and affirm what the weaver is weaving throughout all of us as these channels. Okay, but I see that there's a bit of a judgment too you have on yourself when it comes to how you define if you are worth the opportunities coming your way, or even worth seeing yourself as the high priestess. And there's like a smoke that clouds the mirror, or clouds your vision, because you think, maybe I don't know everything, or maybe I still have this one vice that I use. So how could good things come to me when I'm not perfect? You know, that's the message here, is how could good things come to me, or how could that which is for me and will change my life come to me if I'm not perfect? And this is where we're coming back around to the deeper aspect of the reading here, which is that there's some bullying that either happened recently or in your actual formative years that needs to be addressed. And you could even do some sort of meditation in the way where you imagine yourself as your higher self, as your high priestess, going to talk to that version of yourself who is being bullied, and just show them and talk to them in a way that they'll understand. Show them who you are now. Show them why that opposition was necessary to build you into the sharp, discerning, clear, sentient human that you are. And know that because we live in this dual realm, this realm of polarity, there will always be some aspect of shadow. But you can't equate your divine inheritance, or that which is meant for you, your fate, and you can't say in your mind, it won't happen if I'm not perfect. It won't happen if I don't cross this I and dot that T. It's also coming through, and this is just like a side, whether it's an example or something you're actually going through. There's a lot of people that come out of like a more Christian background, or we'll just say a more religious background in general, who then become spiritual, but they're looking for their partners. And celibacy, abstinence is a huge trend right now. And you have to, and this is all about that high priestess card and the sexuality that we were talking about before as well, is like, do you make certain boundaries, like say, oh, I'm going to be abstinent? Is that actually coming from a deep place of honoring what you desire? Or is that coming from a place that's a split kind of thought that is actually kind of sponsored by your shadow, because you want to, I'm not saying you want, but the shadow wants you to fall into a shame pit when you trip up and actually do something with somebody, right? We have to really be aware of the rules we're setting for ourselves and where they come from, because it might not actually be in alignment with who you are. Because if you have a certain rule for yourself that then you break and you just go into a shame spiral, that in itself is a message that you need deeper self-love, and that you shouldn't set up rules and boundaries for yourself that, first of all, you probably already have an inkling that it's just maybe an ego that you're wearing because you're masking a deeper issue. Second of all, that you would give it so much power over you that if you didn't follow the rule in the slightest bit, that it would send you in such a distracting direction that you can't even focus on what's on the horizon anymore because you're clouded in those shadow aspects of shame and guilt, right? And when it comes to the concept of, and this is kind of coming through as purity, which interestingly enough has to do with the number 3 as well, is that your innate essence and who you are is pure no matter what you have been through. There's an aspect of your soul within your I am consciousness that is and always has been pure and innocent. And then there's also a part of your psychological inner ego state that is also that which wants to kind of destroy innocence. I'm thinking of that Lana Del Rey song where she's like, all I want is innocence lost. Right? It's like we come to this point in life around whenever it happens for each individual, we come to this point in life where we're like, we crave to be held like a baby and protected, but yet we put ourselves in situations where that's the last thing that would be offered to us. And so there's what this is, the main message is like, you are bringing your unconsciousness to light because your unconsciousness is manifesting just as much for you that your conscious mind is, except your conscious mind tends to focus on the love and the light, while you didn't come here just to experience love and light. You did come here to experience shame and guilt, but you didn't come here to be completely wrought down by those things, but rather to put them on the scales, understanding and honoring the duality and the polarity of those things, and finding the crystalline perspective of unity that those two polar opposite things create in parallel and in opposition to each other. Okay, so I'm getting a vision of someone kind of like making all of these New Year's goals and plans, and they're not really heart soul centered. They don't come, like for instance, you knowing you need rest, but then you make a New Year's plan to work out 5 days a week and follow some schedule that you've never even been able to follow in the first place, right? Like putting unnecessary pressures on yourself because you subconsciously believe that you have to X off certain boxes in order to be loved, in order to be whole, in order to receive blessings, and that is not the case. You would know that when your star family shows up, your spiritual family, the rooms of people that you are meant to be in, you should know that when that happens, your shadow can do nothing but come to the light so that it can actually experience the unconditional love that it's meant to. And so go ahead and begin to give yourself that, because you splitting yourself in two and trying to stay just in your love and light is prohibiting you from experiencing the fullness of what unconditional love feels like. And the more you push yourself just into a love and light corner, it's like porcupining your shadow and shoving quills into parts of you that are very vulnerable and actually need love and safety, versus to be boxed up. Okay, so whew, guys, this reading, another way this is coming through is an artist, because I got visionary. It's someone saying, like, it's someone being so weighed down by the visions that they have for the future, or for the world, or for themselves, or for whatever it may be, that they feel like it's not for them. It's like they feel like that should have been for someone else who had the money to do something, or who was raised in a way where they could have made that happen easily. And you gotta look, all right? Look at celebrities. Like, for instance, like, how many of us relate to the, like, started from the bottom, now we're here. Okay, like, that story arc is extremely important and means way more to the greater whole than we could even begin to fathom. And so don't discredit your darkness or your story and tell yourself that you have to erase certain aspects of it to be loved, or to receive your gifts, to receive your blessings, or to receive relationships that support your visions. Okay, like, you have the visions for a reason. They were given to you. And I'm just seeing this person who keeps having all these visions, but it's like they don't believe that they could ever make something like that happen. And so the visions just keep coming and coming, and it's like it builds up like a tummy ache. And literally all you simply have to do is just write it down in a note on your phone and just be grateful that you even have the ability to see like that in the first place. Write it down on your phone or on a piece of paper. All right, guys, let's move on and look at the blockages right now, and then also what's going to be taking you off octave that is coming to distract you, but it's meant to, okay? I'm hearing that song, hold on, let me look up the lyrics to this, because I actually am thinking that this might have to do a lot more with this reading. Let's see. Oh my gosh. Fable by Gigi Perez. Fable and truth direct me to someone who gives me the juice and new rules. Someone to tell me we're not born to be mules in this. Everything. It contradicts. Hedges of prayer. 'Cause you believe doesn't mean that it's there. It's so rare. It's so rare that somebody would look out for you. Thoughts and prayers was all they would do. Guys. When I lifted her urn, divinity says destiny can't be earned or returned. I feel when I question. My skin starts to burn. Why does my skin start to burn? Oh my God, guys. Aha, capital loss. Love was the law and religion was taught. I'm not bought. Feel when we argue, our skin starts to rot. Our skin starts to rot. So share me your plan. If I implore you, could I be your lamb? Understand, I look for the truth in the back of your hand, and I look into the open sky. Stars blink like my sister's eyes. Stars blink like my sister's eyes. Like her eyes, I dream of eternal life. I dream of eternal life. Whoa, guys. Yeah. I gotta ring the bell. You guys are coming out of... You guys are not pitying yourself anymore. And you're becoming aware of where you have. Okay, hedges of prayer. It's so rare that somebody would look out for you. Thoughts and prayers was all they do. Okay, and then the blockages, I pulled swords ending, which is the Ten of Swords in this deck. And then for off octave, I pulled the Fool. there is sorry guys. I'm like wrapped up. I'm getting like emotional about this. I'm like so excited. Fable and truth. Let me collect myself for y'all. Okay, because love was the law and religion was taught. I'm not bought. And then I have the whole ancient ways coming through. Okay, you guys are in a, like with this ending card, there have been things that may have happened in your life that were extremely like full of grief, that you had nothing left to do except fall back to maybe a religious pattern that you grew up in, or just a system of belief that you grew up in, and you are realizing through maybe these things coming back to the surface, because the imagery in this card is pretty intense. All right, guys, and I was brought to use this deck for a reason, but there's some things that are resurfacing, or some griefs that you have to look at in order to move through this blockage. But you guys are like in the what is that word? Limerence? Let me look up the limerence definition. The state of being infatuated or obsessed with another person, typically experienced involuntary and characterized by a strong desire for reciprocation of one's feelings, but not primarily for a sexual relationship. Okay, this is where you guys are kind of in the limerence for the past, and it could actually be coming through as limerence for a past person, whether living or passed on. I'll just say it like that. But it's like this pocket of grief, because this song is like, it's kind of like a sadder song, but the fact that it ends with I dream of eternal life, I dream of eternal life is like, divinity says destiny can't be earned or returned. Okay, that's what I'm freaking saying to you guys. Divinity says destiny can't be earned or returned. You are not here to check off boxes to earn your freaking destiny. And if you're following a path that says you need to do that, you're likely, your destiny has to do more with unconditional love for your shadow and that part of you keep putting in a box over and over again than what it is you might be telling yourself you are receiving by checking off all these boxes. Okay. Whew. Guys, so this, well, I will say this too, and I learned this from Mommy Onami in the work that I've done in her school, which I love, guys. But she always says limitations create style, and they're not something that we need to look at and go, because I have these limitations or these blockages, I can't do what I set out to do in my mind. You actually need to write down all of these limitations and blockages that you have, and understand that if that's the limitations and the blockages, then it's creating the perfect style for what it is that you are creating and offering. For instance, wanting to create a class of sorts, but you don't have access to a large in-person community, or you don't have a physical vehicle, those things direct you towards online spaces. But if you don't move past that blockage and see it as actually something that's important for you to fine-tune the offering or what you're creating into the specific style that fits exactly where you are at right now, which is exactly where you are meant to be in divine time, then those blockages just act as, again, reasons for you to spiral or fall back into the unconscious, and again, into belief systems that tell you you're not worth it, you're not clean enough, you haven't done X, Y, and Z to be able to earn this. Like, come on, guys. We are so past this victim mindset in 2025. All right, guys, like, and you know this, like, I'm not, and if you're on the more sensitive side during this reading and that tone of voice that I just used to say that is triggering in any right, I just want to encourage you to see that part of yourself that is powerful. I'm not saying that the past experiences that hurt you didn't leave a wound, but if you want something out of life and you have a vision, no one can create that for you but your own two hands. And so the minute something comes to be in opposition to that, if you just decide, you know what, I'm not worth it in the first place, and throw it all in the trash, like, think about how your inspired inner child would feel if it just saw you giving up over and over again. All right, like, we're not here to do that. We're here to be the victor of situations, and sometimes maybe that takes a little bit more education because we don't know something, or we don't even know how to heal something, right? So we have grace, we have limitless grace, but we don't have a tolerance for conscious self-pity. And so that could be about you, or it could also be about you pitying other people because they're in the rooms that you're leaving behind. And so it's really about looking at your heart. You guys need to do some mirror work. I'm telling you right now, like, you guys need to write who it is that you know you are. I am a visionary. I am a student of ancient practices. I am and always have been pure and innocent. I am in charge of how I respond to life. You need to put that shit on your mirror, and you need to remind yourself that you are the high priestess, you are the magician, and no matter what swords come along the journey to create endings, that you will always have a new beginning. Because again, the law of polarity states that polarities are in fact union in of themselves. So an ending is simply a beginning. Okay, but this off octave, which means along your path of this manifestation, you will be brought, and it is karma, it's fate for you to go off octave, is represented by the Fool. And the Fool in this deck has 3 figures in it. And I feel like your off octave journey is going to, it's going to require you to be okay looking like a fool in the eyes of others. Okay, so some of you, with all these 3s coming out, some of you are posting on social media and you're just deleting it. And that's exactly what I was saying before. It's like, imagine if you were just throwing everything in the trash. If you were honest with yourself about how those actions made you feel, all of the effort you put into posting something and then you just delete it, if you were honest with yourself about how that made you feel, what would you say? You guys are going to have to be okay with opposition, and understanding too that notoriety or fame or recognition, especially on social media, but just in general, most of the time means half people don't like you or don't support you and half people do. And so your job is not to focus on what all these fools are saying. And if you do find yourself going off octave and getting sucked down this rabbit hole of just seeing yourself as what all of these people who literally are not on your path are saying, like, what is that phrase? Don't take advice from people who are living lives that you don't want to live. If you decide to do that, notice if you fall into that shame spiral, and notice if that is what this off octave distraction is showing you, because it might be the first time that you are able to become aware of it while you're within it before you move on to this greater stage of really being the high priestess effortlessly, no matter where you go, no matter what room you're in. You don't shift to fit the room. All right, like, we don't sink to lower frequencies to meet them. We maintain our high priestess frequency, and people can either rise to meet that or not. This off octave journey for you also could entail being a part of a group of something in some way, where, for instance, you might be creating an individual offer where then your off octave distraction is a group of people that try to get you to give all their energy to what they're creating as a group, and you need to just observe, go into it like the fool, like you're not. Just observe how those things make you feel. Observe the subtle energies. And maybe you're meant to gain some wisdom through the creation of something with other people. Or maybe you're meant to realize, I keep people pleasing and saying yes to other people because I want to be accepted. But I need to actually come back around to this thing it is that I'm manifesting. But no matter what, along this manifestation journey, about a third of the way through, there's going to be this path that emerges that you do walk down. It's whenever we manifest anything, there's always a distraction that is its own little universe in of itself. Okay, guys, so take that into account in the coming times as you are in your manifestation your manifestation station, because I rolled 3, 3, 3, then I rolled 2 3s, okay, and then the Fool has these 3 people in it, okay, and so there is also something coming through where this group that you may be a part of could be actually a really important part of the whole that of your project that is your individual project. But you need to be very aware of what it is that you're contributing, and if you're just giving all of your energy to one place, that leaves you depleted in another. This has to do with boundaries, and because it's the 3, I want to say communication boundaries, where sometimes you may just sometimes we can be like a leaky faucet and just tell everybody our dreams, or give other people all of our ideas, because we've yet to realize how valuable even the simplest of an idea is. Guys, I'm telling you, like, people patent the craziest ideas for millions of dollars, and we're talking like just funny little stuff. And so if that's happening and you are a visionary and you have all of these ancient, beautiful stories to weave throughout your life and in the manifestations of your desires and through your story, then we can navigate this and realize your value. All right. But don't be a leaky faucet. And maybe you need to develop some sort, and again, It's probably coming from some sort of mirror work. You need to develop some sort of boundary to where you know what things you should share about what you're creating and what things you shouldn't. Okay? Because even in a room of people that might be all dedicated to the same sort of idea, or maybe a room of people all studying the same thing, when you decide to tell people what your ideas and dreams are, there are going to be people who, it may not even be from a malicious place, but they know not what to do except to mimic. And so you want to make sure that you are 100% committed to the sanctity of your visions, and not allowing other people to reap their rewards before you have even been able to fully set them in motion. Okay, so this has been a beautiful reading, and I'm going to pull some starseed cards just to see what it is that should be your main focus right now. Wait, it's not time yet. Things are being woven. Okay, guys. You guys got the wait card. What did I just say? Like, it's okay to go in those, to be in the rooms with people, but wait. And I feel like I'm not getting anything super specific that's tied to, because each person, you guys are going to know what this is about. Because every time I pull this card on my own, I'm like, I know exactly what it's about. I don't even need to pull like a clarifying card, because when I get a wait card, I know exactly what that magnetizes to inside my energy body. It's like, you know what? I already kind of felt like I needed to wait on this. Okay, but things are being woven. And then I just pulled the void. Stop and embrace winter, the great cosmic womb. The bottom of the deck, all paths lead home. Inner authority, intuition, and turn your gaze within. This has a lot to do with whatever it is that you're creating, or this could actually be your new identity. I'm also picking up on someone who's left social media and plans on getting back, kind of like being like, glow up. You know what I mean? I've mentioned glow up, I think, a couple times in this reading. But there's like, this is giving me, you'll know when you're ready. Do not make that post if you're about to delete that post. Okay? And you're going to know, because you're going to feel it in your body that you do not care anymore. Some of you guys need to go through your following and followers, because you're not even posting to an audience that you feel safe posting to, because you haven't been protective over what's in your energy. And for some of you, it's not about that, because you're posting to a greater platform that maybe you don't even have any followers or following yet, and it's really just about, wait, you're still cooking. Don't take the cookies out of the oven when they're not fully baked. Okay? You are in the void. And I said this in my last reading that I posted right before this. The universe wants you in the infinite womb of the womb of infinite potential, and the void. Stop, embrace winter, great cosmic womb. So this could be physical winter season, which is when I'm doing this reading now, but this could also be just the rest, R-E-S-T, part of a cycle that you're in. Winter is when the world is at rest, things are sleeping. And so this is a time for you where things are ending, and they could actually be full of grief. They could be full of confusion, and you have this inner knowing of who you are, and you're beginning to redefine that and project that out into the world, but it's for you first. And so that who you are trying to be on social media, I implore you to be that in the mirror and to feel so integral in who you are that when you do go into new rooms or you do make posts or whatever it may be, that there is nothing that could tear it down. There's nothing that could come up in opposition to it that would make you question, wait, do I know what I'm talking about? It's not about that. You know, everyone who posts anything, I don't care if they're the most spiritual person ever, all of us only know what we know, and then the rest of it, we don't know anything. And a lot of the things that we think we know are right are just subjectively right. Okay, and so you have to give yourself the grace of being a human. To come full circle with this reading is like, don't be so hard on yourself in ways that are unconscious, because and I feel like you're aware that you have these unconscious tendencies, and right now is a time for you to get deep in inner searching in a nourishing way that comes through communication and through repainting who you see yourself to be, because there's some sort of grief that you have been processing lately that you are seeing as a blockage that's deterring you from this path, but it's actually a gift for you to be able to wake up to the multiplicity and depth of who you truly are. It will lead you to the vibration of people who have also sat with their multiplicity and depth, and you will be able to drink tea and share cookies with these people. Okay, and it's building a very, very firm foundation that has to do with what you are meant to do here for a career, how you make money, how you view success, and the mirror is calling you. Do not look to social media to be your mirror. Do not look to past groups or past people that never resonated with who you truly are to reflect who you are. Okay, guys, I hope this reading resonated with you. I'll see you in another one.